The clock on the wall showed 10 p.m. when Tae-young walked through the main entrance of Tower 7. He carried his lunchbox in one hand and his security badge in the other. The tower was one of the tallest buildings on Seoul Interstellar Station, a massive space station that floated in orbit around Earth. This was where aliens and humans lived together, worked together, and tried to understand each other. Tae-young had been a security guard here for 8 years. He knew every corner of this tower, every hallway, and every room. At 32 years old, his life had become a comfortable routine. Wake up, eat breakfast, go to work, come home, sleep, and repeat. Some people might find it boring, but Tae-young liked it this way. No drama, no problems, just simple and predictable. He walked to the security station on the ground floor and logged into the computer. His supervisor, Hannah, was already there. She was a woman in her 40s with short black hair and a serious face. She rarely smiled, but Tae-young knew she cared about her team. "Good evening, Tae-young," Hannah said without looking up from her monitor. "Quiet night so far. Most of the diplomats are in their rooms. The cleaning crew is on floor 4 to 5. "Understood," Tae-young replied. He put his lunchbox in the small refrigerator they kept in the back room. Inside was rice, kimchi, and some grilled chicken his mother had prepared for him last weekend when he visited her in Busan. His phone buzzed. It was a message from his mother. "When are you coming to visit again? I made your favorite soup." Tae-young smiled and typed back, "Next month, I promise. Work is busy." He felt a little guilty. He always said next month, but sometimes months would pass before he actually made the trip. His mother lived alone since his father died 15 years ago. His father had been a firefighter who died saving people from a burning building. Tae-young was 17 when it happened. He still remembered the funeral, the medals, the speeches about bravery. But all he wanted was his father back. "Stop daydreaming and start your patrol," Hannah said, breaking his thoughts. "Check floors 60 through 72. That's where all the important guests are staying." Tae-young nodded and grabbed his equipment belt. It had a radio, a flashlight, and a small tablet that showed the building systems. He walked to the elevator and pressed the button for floor 60. As the elevator climbed, Tae-young thought about his friend Doyeon. They had started working as security guards on the same day 8 years ago. Doyeon worked in Tower 5, just 2 buildings away. They usually met for lunch and complained about their supervisors, talked about sports, and shared stories about the strange things they saw working on the space station. Last week, Doyeon told him about an alien who tried to bring a live plant through security. The problem was that the plant moved and made weird singing sounds. It took 3 hours to figure out if it was dangerous or not. It turned out the plant was actually the alien's pet. Tae-young laughed so hard he almost choked on his coffee. The elevator door opened on floor 60. Tae-young stepped out and began his patrol. The hallways were covered in soft carpet that made no sound when he walked. Expensive artwork from different planets hung on the walls. Each door had a small gold plate with a room number and sometimes the name of the guest staying inside. He walked slowly, checking each door to make sure it was properly locked. He looked at the fire extinguishers mounted on the walls, making sure they were full and ready. He checked the emergency exit signs to confirm they were lit. Everything seemed normal. On floor 6 to 7, he saw one of the cleaning staff pushing a cart full of fresh towels and sheets. Her name was Minji, a young woman who had been working here for 2 years. "Good evening, Minji," Tae-young said with a friendly nod. "Oh, good evening, Tae-young," she replied cheerfully. "How is your night going?" "Quiet, which is good. How about you?" "Almost done. Just a few more rooms on this floor, then I can go home." She paused and lowered her voice. "Did you know there's a dragon staying on the top floor?" Tae-young nodded. "Ambassador Krell. He's from the Drachna species. They look like dragons from old Earth stories." "Is it true they breathe fire?" Minji asked with wide eyes. "I don't know," Tae-young admitted. "I've seen him a few times in the lobby. He's very large and has golden scales. He always says good evening to me, which is more than some of the other diplomats do. Most of them don't even look at security guards." Minji laughed. "Well, be careful up there. I heard his room is filled with heat lamps because he needs it very hot." "I will. Have a good night, Minji." Tai Young continued his patrol, climbing floor by floor. When he reached floor 72, the top floor, he felt the temperature change. It was much warmer here. Ambassador Krell's penthouse suite took up the entire floor. The door was reinforced and had special security features. Through a small window in the hallway, Tai Young could see Earth below. It was beautiful at night, with lights from cities glowing like stars. He had lived his whole life on Earth before getting this job. Sometimes he missed walking on solid ground, feeling real wind, and breathing air that wasn't recycled by machines. His radio crackled. Tai Young, this is Hannah. How is everything up there? All clear, he replied. Everything is normal. Good. Come back down when you're finished. You can take your dinner break. Tai Young was about to respond when suddenly every alarm in the building started screaming at once. Red lights flashed in the hallways. The building's AI voice came through the speakers, calm but urgent. Emergency. Emergency. Fire detected on floors 6 to 7 through 7 to 2. All personnel evacuate immediately. This is not a drill. Tai Young's heart jumped. He grabbed his radio. Hannah, what's happening? Fire in the oxygen recycler room. The suppression system failed. Chemical fire spreading fast. Get out of there now. Smoke began pouring from the ventilation grates in the ceiling. Tai Young ran to the emergency stairs and opened the door. Thick black smoke rushed out, making him cough. He could hear people screaming on the lower floors. He ran back to the elevator, but the display showed it was shut down for safety. The only way down was through the smoke-filled stairs. Tai Young pulled his shirt over his mouth and nose and started descending. The stairwell was chaos. Aliens and humans pushed past each other, trying to reach safety. A small child was crying, separated from their parents. Tai Young picked up the child and carried them down while helping an elderly alien diplomat who was moving too slowly. By the time he reached the ground floor, his lungs burned from smoke. He handed the child to their grateful parents and stumbled outside. Emergency crews were arriving, their vehicles flashing red and blue lights. Hundreds of people gathered on the plaza, watching Tower 7 burn. Tai Young found Hannah in the crowd. She was holding a tablet, checking names of everyone who made it out safely. Is everyone accounted for? He asked between coughs. Hannah's face went pale. She looked at her screen, then at the burning tower, then back at her screen. Almost everyone, she said quietly. We're missing one person. Who? Ambassador Krell. He's still in the penthouse on floor 72. Tai Young turned and looked up at the tower. Flames were shooting out of windows on the upper floors. Smoke poured into the night sky. He could hear the structure groaning and cracking from the heat. 2 technicians ran past them, talking frantically. The elevators are destroyed. The main stairwell is completely blocked by fire. No one can get up there. The fire chief arrived, a large man with a tired face. He looked at the building and shook his head. We can't reach the upper floors. The structure is too unstable. Anyone still up there? He didn't finish the sentence. He didn't need to. Hannah put her hand on Tai Young's shoulder. There's nothing we can do. It's terrible, but we can't risk more lives. Tai Young stood there, watching the flames climb higher. He thought about Ambassador Krell, always polite, always respectful. He thought about the Drachna species, facing extinction according to rumors he'd heard. He thought about his father, running into a burning building 15 years ago. His hands were shaking. His mind was telling him to stay here, to be safe, to let the professionals handle it. But something deeper, something he inherited from his father, was pulling him toward the tower. I know another way up, Tai Young heard himself say. Hannah grabbed his arm. What? No. Tai Young, don't be crazy. The maintenance shaft. It bypasses the main stairwell. I've used it before during inspections. You'll die. Tai Young looked at her. His voice was steady when he spoke. Maybe, but I have to try. He turned and ran toward the tower before anyone could stop him. Tai Young ran through the chaos outside Tower 7. People were shouting, alarms were screaming, and smoke filled the air. He ignored all of it. His mind focused on one thing, getting to the maintenance entrance on the east side of the building. Behind him, he heard Hannah yelling his name. Tai Young, stop. That's an order. He didn't stop. He couldn't stop. The maintenance entrance was a small metal door that most people never noticed. Tai Young punched in the access code with shaking fingers. The door clicked open. Inside was a narrow hallway that led to the emergency equipment room. His friend Doyan appeared suddenly, grabbing his shoulder. "What are you doing? Are you insane?" "Someone is still up there," Tai Young said, pulling away. He ran to the equipment lockers and threw one open. Inside were thermal suits, the kind maintenance workers wore when they fix the heating systems. He grabbed one and started putting it on. "You'll die," Doyan shouted. "The fire is too big. The whole tower could collapse." Tai Young pulled the thermal suit over his clothes. It was heavy and made of thick silver material designed to reflect heat. He grabbed a respirator mask and strapped it to his face. The oxygen tank was small, maybe 30 minutes of air if he was lucky. "I have to try," Tai Young said, his voice muffled by the mask. "My father would have tried." Doyan's face changed. He understood. He grabbed Tai Young's arm, but this time not to stop him. "Then take this." He handed him an emergency axe from the wall. "And come back alive, you stupid hero." Tai Young nodded and ran toward the maintenance shaft. It was a vertical tunnel with metal ladders that went all the way to the top of the building. Maintenance workers used it to access pipes and wiring between floors. The entrance was hidden behind a panel in the equipment room. He pulled open the panel and looked up. The shaft disappeared into darkness and smoke. Heat poured down from above like invisible waves. Even through the thermal suit, he could feel it. Tai Young started climbing. The metal ladder was already hot. His glove protected his hands, but barely. Each rung felt like touching a stove. He climbed faster, trying not to think about how far he had to go. 72 floors. It might as well have been a mountain. The smoke got thicker as he climbed. His respirator filtered the air, but he could still smell burning metal and plastic. The tower was dying around him. He heard crashes and explosions from somewhere below. The fire was eating through walls and floors. At floor 68, Tai Young had to stop. A section of the ladder had melted away, leaving a gap of about 6 feet. He looked down. He couldn't see the bottom through the smoke. If he fell, that was it. He took a deep breath and jumped. His hands caught the next rung, but his body slammed against the wall. Pain shot through his ribs. He didn't let go. He pulled himself up and kept climbing. His arms were screaming. His legs felt like they were on fire. The oxygen gauge on his mask showed he had 15 minutes left. He was only at floor 70. 2 more to go. As he climbed, Tai Young thought about his mother. She had already lost his father to a fire. If he died here, she would be alone. He felt guilty for not visiting her more often. He should have gone last weekend instead of staying home and watching television. He thought about Ambassador Krell. They had only spoken a few times. The ambassador was always polite, always respectful. Last month, Krell had asked Tai Young about Earth culture. They talked for 20 minutes about Korean food and traditional music. The ambassador had been genuinely interested, not just making small talk. "Every life has equal value," Tai Young whispered, repeating his father's words. His father had said that before running into the burning building 15 years ago. Those were the last words Tai Young ever heard him speak. Floor 71. The heat was unbearable now. Even through the thermal suit, Tai Young felt like he was being cooked. Sweat poured down his face inside the respirator mask. His vision was blurry. His oxygen gauge showed 10 minutes. Finally, he reached floor 72. The maintenance shaft had a small exit door here, leading into a service corridor near the penthouse. Tai Young kicked the door open. The corridor was an inferno. Flames covered the walls and ceiling. The carpet was burning. The expensive artwork had turned to ash. Tai Young walked through the fire, his thermal suit protecting him for now. But he knew the suit wouldn't last long. It wasn't designed for direct contact with flames this intense. The penthouse door was 30 feet away, but it felt like 30 miles. Each step was harder than the last. His suit was starting to smoke. The outer layer was failing. He reached the door and tried the handle. Locked. Of course it was locked. These diplomatic suites had advanced security systems. He raised the emergency axe and swung it at the door. Once, twice, 3 times. The door cracked. He swung again and again until it finally broke open. Smoke poured out of the penthouse like a living thing. Tai Young stumbled inside, searching through the darkness. "Ambassador Krell!" he shouted, but his voice was weak inside the respirator. The penthouse was huge. Flames danced across the furniture. The heat lamps that Ambassador Krell needed were broken, sparking and adding to the fire. Glass from the windows had shattered. Through the smoke, Tai Young could see the plaza far below, where tiny figures watched the tower burn. Then he saw him. Ambassador Krell was lying near the window, barely moving. The Drachna was massive, at least 12 feet long, with golden scales that still shimmered despite the smoke. His wings were folded against his body. His eyes were closed. Tai Young ran to him and dropped to his knees. "Ambassador, can you hear me?" Krell's eyes opened slightly. They were deep green, like emeralds. He looked at Tai Young with confusion. "Security, God." His voice was rough and weak. "Why, you here?" "I'm getting you out," Tai Young said. He tried to lift Krell, but the ambassador was too heavy. Drachna were large beings, probably weighing over 800 pounds. There was no way Tai Young could carry him. "Leave me," Krell whispered. "Save yourself. I am already dead." "No," Tai Young said firmly. He looked around desperately. There had to be a way. His oxygen gauge showed 5 minutes. The floor beneath them groaned. The building structure was failing. Then he remembered. The penthouse had a private landing pad for VIP shuttles. It was outside, accessible through the reinforced door on the far wall. If he could get Krell there, rescue crews might be able to reach them. But between them and that door was a wall of solid flame. The fire had spread from the main room to the exit hallway. There was no way around it. Tai Young looked at his thermal suit. It was already damaged, smoking in several places. If he went through those flames, the suit would fail completely. He would burn. He looked at Ambassador Krell, dying on the floor. He thought about his father. He thought about his mother's words. "Your father believed every life had equal value." Tai Young made his decision. He removed his respirator mask and placed it over Krell's snout. The ambassador tried to push it away, but Tai Young held it firm. "Breathe," Tai Young ordered. "I'm going to get you through that fire." "You will die," Krell said, his voice getting a little stronger with the fresh oxygen. "Maybe," Tai Young admitted. He grabbed emergency blankets from a storage closet and wrapped them around Krell's head and body, protecting the ambassador's vital areas. "But we're both getting out of here. When I say move, you crawl behind me. Understand?" Krell stared at him with those green eyes. Tai Young saw something change in the ambassador's expression. Understanding. Respect. Determination. "I understand," Krell said. Tai Young stood up. Without the respirator, smoke immediately filled his lungs. He coughed but didn't put the mask back on. He positioned himself between Krell and the wall of flames. He took one last breath of smoky air. "Move!" he shouted. Tai Young ran toward the flames. The heat hit him like a physical force. His thermal suit immediately started burning. He felt pain explode across his back and arms. His skin was burning, but he didn't stop. He crashed through the fire, using his body to create a path. Behind him, Ambassador Krell crawled forward, following the path Tai Young had made. The ambassador's scale protected him from the worst of the heat, but the smoke was still dangerous. Tai Young reached the reinforced door and slammed into it with his shoulder. It didn't open. He hit it again. And again. On the fourth hit, the door burst open. Fresh air rushed in from outside. The landing pad was there, a small platform extending from the side of the tower. Tai Young stumbled out onto it and collapsed. His body was covered in burns. His lungs were full of smoke. He couldn't breathe. His vision was going dark. Ambassador Krell crawled out beside him, still wearing the respirator. The ambassador removed the mask and placed it back on Tai Young's face. "Breathe, human. Breathe." Through failing vision, Tai Young saw lights approaching. A rescue shuttle was coming toward them, hovering carefully near the unstable tower. He heard voices shouting. He felt hands grabbing him. His last thought before consciousness left him was simple. "We made it." Then everything went black. Tai Young woke up to white walls and the smell of medicine. His entire body hurt. Every breath felt like knives in his chest. He tried to move his arm, but pain shot through him immediately. He groaned. "Don't move, you foolish boy," a familiar voice said. Tai Young turned his head slowly. His mother sat in a chair beside his bed. Her eyes were red from crying. Her hair had more gray in it than he remembered. She looked older, tired, and scared. "Mom." His voice came out as a whisper, rough and damaged from the smoke. She grabbed his hand gently, careful not to hurt him. Tears ran down her face. 3 days. You've been unconscious for 3 days. The doctors said you might not wake up. "I'm sorry," Tai Young said. He didn't know what else to say. His mother shook her head. "You're just like your father, always running toward danger while everyone else runs away." She wiped her eyes. "The doctors said you have burns on 40% of your body. Your lungs were damaged from smoke. You almost died, Tai Young." "But I didn't," he said softly. "No, you didn't." His mother smiled through her tears. "You saved someone. An ambassador. The whole galaxy is talking about it." Tai Young closed his eyes. He didn't feel like a hero. He just felt tired and hurt. "How is Ambassador Krell?" "He's fine. He's in the room next to yours. He's been asking about you every day." His mother stood up. "I should tell the doctors you're awake. Rest now." She left the room, and Tai Young was alone with his thoughts. He looked down at his arms. They were wrapped in white bandages. He could see burn marks on the exposed skin near his shoulders. He would have scars, permanent reminders of that night. The door opened again. This time it was a doctor, a young woman with kind eyes. She checked his vital signs and asked him questions about pain levels. She seemed amazed that he was awake and talking. "You're very lucky," the doctor said. "Another minute in that fire and you wouldn't have made it. Your friend saved your life." "My friend?" "The one who convinced the fire chief to send a rescue shuttle to the landing pad. He said you would be there. He was right." Doyan. It had to be Doyan. Tai Young made a mental note to thank him later. Over the next few hours, visitors came. First was Hannah, his supervisor. She walked in with her usual serious expression, but her eyes were soft. "You disobeyed a direct order," she said, standing at the foot of his bed. "I know. I'm sorry. You could have died." "I know." Hannah was quiet for a moment. Then she did something Tai Young had never seen before. She smiled. "I'm putting you in for a commendation. What you did, it was the bravest thing I've ever seen. The station director wants to give you a medal." "I don't need a medal," Tai Young said. "I just did what felt right." "That's exactly why you deserve it," Hannah replied. She placed a small card on his bedside table. "That's from everyone in the security team. We're proud of you." After Hannah left, more people came. Other security guards, maintenance workers, even Minji, the cleaning staff member he had talked to that night. They all thanked him, called him a hero, told him he was brave. Tai Young felt uncomfortable with all the attention. He was just a regular person who made a choice. Anyone would have done the same thing. At least, he hoped they would. Then Doyan arrived, carrying a bag of food from their favorite Korean restaurant. His friend looked tired, like he hadn't slept in days. "You crazy bastard," Doyan said, but he was smiling. "I thought I lost my best friend." "Thanks for sending that shuttle," Tai Young said. "How did you know it was me?" "Who else would believe I could make it?" Doyan sat down and opened the food. The smell of bulgogi and rice filled the room. "The whole galaxy is talking about you. There are news reports from 50 different planets. Everyone wants to interview the human who saved the dragon. I don't want to talk to reporters." "Too bad. They are camped outside the hospital." Doyan handed him a tablet. "Look at this." Tai Young looked at the screen. The headline read, "Human Security Guard Risks Everything to Save Alien Dignitary." Below it was a photo of Tower 7 burning, and another photo of him being loaded onto the rescue shuttle, unconscious and boned. "This is everywhere," Doyan said. "Some aliens are calling it the most heroic thing they've ever seen a human do. There's even a species called the Crystalline Collective that sent a delegation to honor you. They rarely interact with anyone." Tai Young felt overwhelmed. He just wanted to sleep and forget about everything. "When can I go home?" The doctors say at least 2 more weeks. You need time to heal. Doyen squeezed his shoulder gently. Rest, friend. I'll keep the reporters away. That evening, after everyone had left and visiting hours were over, Tai Young heard a knock on his door. It opened slowly, and Ambassador Krell entered. The Drachna had to duck to fit through the doorway. His golden scales gleamed under the hospital lights. He looked healthy, completely recovered. May I enter? Krell asked formally. Of course, Tai Young said, trying to sit up straighter. Pain stopped him. Please, do not move. You are injured because of me. Krell moved closer, his large form somehow seeming gentle. I wanted to thank you personally. You saved my life. Tai Young, you risked everything for a stranger, for an alien you barely knew. You've always been kind to me, Tai Young said. You treated me like a person, not just a security guard. That meant something. Krell's green eyes studied him carefully. I must tell you something. Something important. You deserve to know the truth about what you saved. The ambassador moved to the window and looked out at the stars. My species, the Drachna, are dying. We number only 3,000 in the entire galaxy. A plague struck our world 50 years ago. It killed most of us and made it nearly impossible for us to have children. We are facing extinction. Tai Young listened quietly, shocked by this revelation. I came to her seeking help, Krell continued. Your species has advanced medical technology, genetic science that might save us. But many in the Galactic Council doubted humanity. They said humans were too young, too primitive, too violent to be trusted as allies. What changed? Tai Young asked. Krell turned to face him. You changed everything. When news spread of what you did, how you risked your life for mine, it changed minds across the galaxy. The Human Council, moved by your sacrifice, has agreed to help my species. Medical treatments will begin next month. You didn't just save one life, Tai Young. You may have saved an entire species. Tai Young didn't know what to say. He had just been trying to help someone in danger. He never imagined it would mean so much. There's more, Krell said. In Drachna culture, we have something called a life debt. When someone saves your life, you are bound to them forever. It is our highest honor and our most sacred obligation. I owe you a life debt, Tai Young. I am bound to you until the day I die. You don't owe me anything, Tai Young protested. Yes, I do, and I am grateful for it. Krell reached into a pouch he wore and pulled out a small crystal. It glowed with soft blue light. This is a Drachna heartstone. We give them only to family and those we consider family. I want you to have it. He placed the crystal on Tai Young's bedside table. You are Drachnakin now. My people will always stand with you, and through you, with all humanity. Before Tai Young could respond, there was another knock on the door. A woman in an expensive suit entered. She had the look of someone important, someone used to giving orders. Mr. Tai Young, she said formally, I am Representative Kim from the Earth Diplomatic Corps. The Galactic Council has requested your presence at their headquarters. Your actions have created significant political developments. We need to discuss what happens next. Tai Young looked at Ambassador Krell, then at the woman, then at the crystal glowing softly beside his bed. His simple life as a security guard seemed very far away now. What kind of developments? He asked quietly. Representative Kim smiled. The kind that changes everything, Mr. Tai Young. The kind that changes everything. The room fell silent except for the quiet beeping of medical equipment. Outside the window, Earth hung in space, beautiful and blue. Somewhere out there, the galaxy was watching and waiting to see what would happen next. Tai Young closed his eyes and took a careful breath. His lungs hurt, but he was alive. Ambassador Krell was alive. Somehow, that had changed the galaxy. He didn't fully understand it yet, but he knew his life would never be the same. All because he had made a choice. A simple choice to help someone who needed help. Just like his father had done 15 years ago. Maybe that's what being human really meant. Not being perfect or powerful or advanced. Just being willing to help, even when it was dangerous. Even when it was impossible. Even when everyone said you couldn't. 2 weeks passed before the doctors allowed Tai Young to leave the hospital. His burns were healing, but they left scars across his back and arms. The doctors said the scars would fade with time, but they would never completely disappear. Tai Young didn't mind. They reminded him of what he had done, of the choice he had made. His mother wanted him to come home to Busan and rest. She wanted to take care of him, cook his favorite foods, and make sure he recovered properly. But Representative Kim had other plans. The Galactic Council meeting is in 3 days, she explained as she sat in his hospital room on the last day. They want you there. This is important. Tai Young, what you did has created opportunities for Earth that we never had before. I'm just a security guard, Tai Young said for what felt like the 100th time. Why do they want me? Because you're a symbol now. You represent the best of what humanity can be. Representative Kim stood and looked out the window. For years, many alien species have looked down on us. They say we're too violent, too young, too unstable. But you showed them something different. You showed them compassion, sacrifice, and courage. Tai Young felt uncomfortable. He didn't want to be a symbol. He just wanted to go back to his quiet life, doing his patrols, eating lunch with Doyeon, and visiting his mother on weekends. But life doesn't always let you go back. 3 days later, Tai Young found himself on a transport ship heading to the Galactic Council headquarters. It was a massive space station in neutral territory, far from any planet. Representative Kim sat beside him, reviewing notes on her tablet. Ambassador Krell was also on the ship, along with several other Drachna officials. Nervous? Krell asked, his deep voice rumbling through the cabin. Very, Tai Young admitted. He wore a formal suit that Representative Kim had provided. It felt strange after years of wearing a security guard uniform. The fabric rubbed against his healing burns, making them itch. You will do well, Krell said confidently. Just speak from your heart, as you did when you saved me. That is all anyone can ask. The transport ship docked at the council headquarters. When the doors opened, Tai Young stepped into a world he had only seen in videos. The station was enormous, with corridors wide enough to fit buildings. Aliens of every shape and size walked past. Some had tentacles, some had wings, some looked almost human, and some were so strange that Tai Young couldn't even figure out which end was ahead. They were led to a waiting area outside the main council chamber. Through large windows, Tai Young could see space stretching out forever. Stars dotted the darkness like diamonds. It was beautiful and terrifying at the same time. They are ready for you, an official said. She was a tall alien with blue skin and 4 arms. She opened the massive doors of the council chamber. Tai Young walked inside and immediately felt small. The chamber was circular and huge, with seats rising up in tiers like an ancient amphitheater. Representatives from 4 to 7 different species sat in those seats, all watching him. At the center was a platform where he was supposed to stand. His legs felt weak. His heart pounded. He had faced a burning tower with less fear than he felt right now. Ambassador Krell walked beside him, a steady presence. They reached the center platform together. A being of pure light floated above them. This was Luminara, the council chair. Her voice echoed through the chamber without any visible mouth. We gathered today to discuss the incident on Sol Station and its implications for the galactic community, Luminara announced. Tai Young of Earth, you stand before the council not as an accused, but as an honored guest. Your actions have given us much to consider. Tai Young nodded, not trusting his voice. A screen appeared in the air, showing footage of Tower 7 burning. It showed him entering the building, though Tai Young didn't know how they got that footage. It showed the rescue shuttle pulling him and Ambassador Krell from the landing pad. The entire council watched in silence. When the video ended, Luminara spoke again. 4 years, this council has debated humanity's place among us. Some believe your species is ready to join fully as equals. Others believe you are too young, too prone to violence. This incident has forced us to reconsider. A reptilian alien stood up from his seat. He had scales like a snake and eyes that were cold and calculating. I am Counselor Vex of the Zarkoth Dominion. While this human's actions were brave, one act does not define an entire species. Humans still fight wars among themselves. They still destroy their own planet. One heroic security guard does not erase these facts. Other voices murmured in agreement. Tai Young felt his stomach sink. They were right. Humanity wasn't perfect. Earth had problems, big problems. How could he argue against that? Ambassador Krell stepped forward. His voice filled the chamber. Counselor Vex speaks truth about humanity's imperfections. But he forgets something important. My people, the Drachna, were once the greatest warriors in the galaxy. We were proud, powerful, and we believed strength was everything. We looked down on species we thought were weak. Krell paused, letting his words sink in. Then plague came. All our strength, all our pride, all our military power meant nothing against an invisible enemy. We were dying, and no one helped us. Why? Because we had never shown compassion to others, so they showed none to us. He gestured toward Taiyang. This human did not know my species was dying. He did not know that saving me might save my entire race. He saw only a person in danger and acted. That is not weakness. That is strength of a different kind. The kind of strength that builds alliances instead of destroying them. Another alien stood. This one looked like living crystal, reflecting light in rainbow colors. I am Speaker Zen of the Crystalline Collective. My people rarely involve ourselves in council matters. We observe, we think, we remain neutral. But this incident has moved us. The human Taiyang displayed a quality we value above all, selfless sacrifice. We believe humanity deserves recognition for producing such individuals. More aliens stood, some speaking in favor of humanity, others against. The debate went on for what felt like hours. Taiyang stood there, listening to them discuss his species like he wasn't even in the room. Finally, Luminara raised a hand for silence. Taiyang of Earth, you have heard our debate. Before we vote on humanity's status, we would hear from you. Why did you risk your life for Ambassador Krell? Everyone in the chamber turned to look at him. Taiyang felt his mouth go dry. What could he possibly say that would make a difference? He was just a security guard who had acted on instinct. But then he thought about his father. He thought about his mother. He thought about Doyen and Hannah and all the people who had supported him. He thought about what it meant to be human. He took a breath and spoke. I'm not special. I'm not a hero. I'm just someone who saw another person in danger and couldn't walk away. My father taught me that every life has value, regardless of who you are or where you come from. When I saw Ambassador Krell trapped in that fire, I didn't think about politics or species or anything like that. I just saw someone who needed help. His voice grew stronger. You're right that humans aren't perfect. We make mistakes. We fight. We hurt each other in our planet. But we also help each other. When someone falls, we pick them up. When someone is in danger, we run toward them, not away. That's what being human means to me. We see someone in need, and we help. It's who we are. The chamber was silent. Taiyang wondered if he had said the wrong thing. Maybe he had made things worse. Then Luminara spoke. The council will now vote on Earth's full membership status. Lights appeared above each council member's seat. Green for yes, red for no. Taiyang watched as the lights began appearing, one by one. Green, red, green, green, red, green. His heart pounded as he counted them. When the last light appeared, Luminara announced the result. By a vote of 32 to 15, Earth is granted full membership in the Galactic Council with all associated rights and responsibilities. The chamber erupted in noise. Some aliens cheered, others protested. Representative Kim grabbed Taiyang's hand and squeezed it, tears in her eyes. But Luminara wasn't finished. Furthermore, the Council creates a new position, Ambassador Compassionate Action. This ambassador will serve as a reminder that individual lives matter as much as politics and power. Taiyang of Earth, we offer this position to you. Taiyang stood frozen. They wanted him to be an ambassador. He looked at Representative Kim, who nodded encouragingly. He looked at Ambassador Krell, who smiled with his dragon-like face. I accept, Taiyang said, his voice barely audible. Then louder, I accept, but on one condition. I'm not a politician. I'm a security guard. If I take this job, I work in the field. I help people directly, not from behind a desk. Luminara's light pulsed brightly. Agreed. You will serve as you see fit. As Taiyang left the chamber, surrounded by officials and reporters, he realized his simple life was truly over. But maybe that was okay. Maybe he could do more good this way. Maybe his father would be proud. He touched the drachna heart stone in his pocket, feeling its warmth. Whatever came next, he wouldn't face it alone. The days after the council meeting passed in a blur. Tai Young attended ceremonies, signed documents, and met with more diplomats than he could count. Everyone wanted to shake his hand, take photos with him, or hear the story of how he saved Ambassador Krell. He smiled and nodded and tried to be polite, but inside he felt exhausted. He missed his simple life. He missed patrolling the quiet hallways of Tower 7. He missed eating lunch with Doyon and complaining about their supervisors. He missed being nobody special. Finally, after a week of meetings and celebrations, Representative Kim told him he could go home for a few days before starting his new position. Tai Young almost cried with relief. The transport ship brought him back to Seoul Station. When he stepped off, he expected to quietly slip away to his apartment. Instead, he found hundreds of people waiting for him. Security guards, maintenance workers, diplomats, and regular citizens all stood in the landing bay, clapping and cheering. Tai Young felt his face turn red. He wasn't used to this kind of attention. He waved awkwardly and tried to move through the crowd. That's when he saw Doyon pushing his way forward. "You're famous now," Doyon said with a huge grin. "Too important to hang out with regular security guards." "Never," Tai Young said, hugging his friend. "Want to get lunch tomorrow?" "The usual place." "Absolutely. You're buying Ambassador." Tai Young laughed. It felt good to laugh. It felt good to be home. He made his way to his apartment, a small place on level 35 of the residential section. Everything was exactly as he had left it 3 weeks ago. His breakfast dishes were still in the sink. His bed was unmade. His security uniform hung on the back of a chair. He picked up the uniform and held it. The fabric was familiar, comfortable. Part of him wanted to put it on and pretend the last 3 weeks had never happened. But he knew that was impossible. His life had changed, and there was no going back. His phone buzzed. A message from his mother. "Are you home? I'm cooking dinner. Come over." Tai Young smiled. His mother lived in the Korean sector of the station, not far from his apartment. She had moved here from Busan 2 years ago to be closer to him, though he had still not visited her as often as he should have. He changed into comfortable clothes and headed to her apartment. When she opened the door, she immediately pulled him into a tight hug. She was crying again. "I saw everything on the news," she said, holding him at arm's length to look at him. "My son, an ambassador. Your father would be so proud." They ate dinner together, just the two of them. His mother had made all his favorite dishes: kimchi stew, bulgogi, japchae, and fresh rice. They talk about everything and nothing. She told him about her friends in the Korean community. He told her about the Galactic Council, though he left out the parts that might worry her. After dinner, they sat on her small balcony that looked out over the interior of the station. Lights twinkled from thousands of windows. People moved along the walkways below, living their ordinary lives. "Are you happy?" his mother asked quietly. Tai Young thought about the question. Was he happy? "I don't know," he admitted. "Everything happened so fast. One day I was security guard, and the next I'm an ambassador. I'm not sure if I'm the right person for this job." His mother took his hand. "When your father ran into that burning building, do you think he felt like the right person? Do you think he wasn't scared?" "He was a trained firefighter. He was a man who saw people in danger and couldn't walk away. Just like you." She squeezed his hand. "You don't have to be perfect, Tai Young. You just have to be you. That's enough." Those words stayed with him as he left her apartment and walked back home. The station was quiet at night, most people already asleep. He took the long way, walking past Tower 7. The building was still standing, though the top floors were blackened and empty. Repair crews had been working every day to fix the damage. He stood outside the main entrance, looking up at where the fire had been. It seemed like a lifetime ago, though it had only been 3 weeks. 3 weeks since he made a choice that changed everything. "Strange to see it like this, isn't it?" A familiar deep voice said behind him. Tai Young turned to see Ambassador Krell walking toward him. The Drachna's golden scales reflected the station's lights. He looked magnificent and powerful, nothing like the dying creature Tai Young had found in the burning penthouse. "I heard you were back," Krell said. "I wanted to see you before I leave." "You're leaving?" "Tomorrow. I return to my homeworld to begin the medical treatments your people have developed. Thanks to you, my species is hope again." Krell looked up at the burn tower. "I will never forget what you did for me, Tai Young. I owe you everything." "You don't owe me anything," Tai Young said, repeating what he had told Krell before. "I'm just glad you're okay. You saved my life, and in doing so, you may have saved my entire species. The medical treatments begin next month. Early tests show promise. In a few years, we may have children again. Our race will continue." Krell's green eyes were bright with emotion, all because one human security guard couldn't walk away from someone in need. They stood together in comfortable silence, two beings from different worlds, connected by a moment of courage and compassion. "I brought you something," Krell said finally. He pulled out a small package wrapped in golden cloth. "Open it when you start your new position. It will help guide you." "What is it?" "You'll see." Krell placed a large clawed hand on Tai Young's shoulder. "You will be a great ambassador, Tai Young. Not because you're perfect, but because you understand what truly matters. You see people, not politics. You see lives, not statistics. That's a rare gift." The next morning, Tai Young woke early and put on his old security uniform one last time. He went to the security station on the ground floor of Tower 7. Hannah was there, as always, reviewing the night reports. "Couldn't stay away?" she asked with a rare smile. "Just wanted to say goodbye properly." Tai Young looked around the familiar space. The monitors showing camera feeds. The coffee maker that never worked quite right. The schedule board with everyone's shifts. This had been his life for 8 years. Hannah stood and walked over to him. "You'll do great things, Tai Young. Just remember, being an ambassador doesn't mean you stop being yourself. Stay humble. Stay kind. Stay the person who ran into that fire." Doyon arrived with breakfast, and the three of them ate together one last time. They shared stories and laughed about old memories. It felt like a proper goodbye. When Tai Young finally left the security station, the sun was rising. He walked to the observation deck on level 50, the highest public area of the station. From here, he could see Earth floating below, beautiful and blue. He opened the package Krell had given him. Inside was a piece of parchment made from something that looked like dragon scale. Written on it in careful letters was a message. "Remember always that compassion is not weakness. It is the strongest force in the universe. It builds bridges where walls once stood. It creates friends where enemies existed. You showed the galaxy this truth. Never forget it. Your Drachnakin, Krell." Beneath the message was something else. A symbol officially marking him as Drachnakin, a family member of an alien species. Tai Young traced a symbol with his finger, feeling the weight of what it meant. His phone buzzed. A message from Representative Kim. "Your first assignment as Ambassador of Compassionate Action awaits. There's a dispute between two colonies that needs mediation. Ready to start." Tai Young looked out at Earth one more time. He thought about his father, who had died being brave. He thought about his mother, who supported him no matter what. He thought about Doyon and Hannah and all the ordinary people who had ordinary jobs but did extraordinary things when needed. He typed back, "Ready." As he walked toward his new life, Tai Young realized something important. He wasn't special because of what he did. He was special because he represented what any human could be. Brave when needed. Compassionate when others were cold. Willing to help when others walked away. That was the real message he had shown the galaxy. Humans weren't perfect. They made mistakes. They had flaws. But they also had hearts that could see past differences, past fears, past the easy choice, and choose to help anyway. No one had dared enter the burning tower that night. The risk was too great, the danger too real. But Tai Young had entered anyway, not because he was fearless, but because he couldn't live with himself if he didn't try. In the end, that's what made humans special. Not their technology or their strength or their intelligence. It was their stubborn refusal to give up on each other, even when giving up would be easier, even when helping seemed impossible. even when everyone said it couldn't be done. Tai Young smiled as he headed toward his new office. His life as a simple security guard was over. His life as an ambassador was beginning. But at his core, he was still the same person. Still someone who believed every life had value. Still someone who would run toward danger if it meant saving another. Still human. And that was enough. The galaxy was watching. And for the first time in a long time, they saw humanity not as young or primitive or violent, but as something else entirely. They saw hope. They saw compassion. They saw the future. All because one ordinary man made an extraordinary choice. All because Tai Young couldn't walk away. And he never would.